Hello, basketball fans, and welcome to another edition of the Hoop Jack podcast series. But today we are doing it March Madness style. Yes, we are going over the bracket today. As you know, it's me and Connor. Connor, how you been, my man?
Great time. Thank you, man. Exciting time of the year.
It's a
Uh,
exciting time of the year. It's great to be in March right now. Today it's March Madness, baby. We go over the entire bracket and all the games currently going on and so far what to predict. You from the top seeds, not a lot of surprises. The one upset that I did see, St. Peter's over Kentucky. I believe that was in overtime. Uh,
you said
but I
Peters
can
over.
confirm
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Peter's winning over number two Kentucky. They did win it in overtime. It took and from the halves, it was pretty even. They were tied 37 in the first. Both had 34 in the second, but St. Peter's just took it away. How big of a loss is this for Calipari and the Wildcats?
Yeah, it's a very devastating loss. I thought they were going to make a Final Four run. They had a really good season, especially as the season went on. They they were playing better and better. I thought SEC tournament tough loss to Tennessee, but Tennessee was hot, so you expected Kentucky to bounce back. They had the first team All American Oscar Shibwe in the middle, and he was kind of surrounded by very good athletes at Kentucky. Calipari recruits really well. They had a couple of transfers, and Severe Wheeler from Florida and Davion Mintz from Creighton, and they really fit well in the system. But the problem is they don't have much shooting outside of the Davidson Wildcat transfer, Kellen Grady, and he was off on last night on Thursday night. And the St. Peter's Peacocks are no joke coming out of the MAC conference. They're really tough. I watched them a couple of times this year. Granted, their gym looks like a JV gym, but they compete, man. And I saw a stat like they probably spend 1/15 of what Kentucky spends on basketball. But yet they overcame the Kentucky Wildcats, and that really was one that surprised me, as it did many. So
Right. The Wildcats, like you said, they were a at least an Elite Eight or even a Final Four. They were
popular pick, yeah.
popular pick for a Final Four. It's tough to see them exit early, but it's March. Anything can happen. Kind of going another big upset that I did see, and this starts from the first four. Notre Dame had a great win against Rutgers, making it into the tournament as an 11th seed, playing against Alabama, I believe, the other day. Then come out shooting lights out. Um, I believe his name is what was it? Ryan.
Yeah, Cormac Ryan,
Cormac
yeah.
Ryan. He went 10 of 13 from the field, 7 and 9 from 3 point, 29 points, 6 rebounds. Kid was lighting it up, and Alabama just had no way to stop. And then Alabama just struggling to shoot. I see Sheckfold 4 of 17, 2 of 10 from behind the arc. So it didn't help. And Alabama had a great year, but just Notre Dame, that Fighting Irish team, just pulled through. Had a great first half and then lit it up even more in the second. And great win, still an upset win, I believe, with the schedule coming out. They move on to play. I got to check the bracket now.
Yeah, they play the Red Raiders of Texas Tech.
Right. So that's going to be a good challenge for them to play the 3C Texas Tech, who had a big win against Montana State, 97-62. How do you feel about your Fighting Irish?
Yeah, man. That was music to my ears. We could spend the whole show on the Irish, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I very very impressed with their run thus far, coming off an underwhelming loss to the Virginia Tech Hokies in the ACC tournament. But that Tech team was hotter than fire, so it was always going to be interesting to see how they responded. They were actually one of maybe the last team in the tournament, I think, playing in the first four against a Rutgers Scarlet Knights team that's very tough out of the Big Ten. Most people were on the Rutgers bandwagon, and we out toughed that team. It didn't look good after they banked in a lucky three, but we found a way. And then today against Alabama, I didn't get to watch it, but I saw briefly some highlights. Like you said, just shot the ball really well, and that's what Notre Dame basketball is all about. got a bunch of guys that can spread the floor and light up the cup. So
Right.
I was very impressed. And Alabama is an up and down team, so I knew Notre Dame had a very good chance to pull that upset, over the 6th seed. And as far as the Red Raiders, I understand Notre Dame is coming out as pretty substantial underdogs in this matchup. Texas Tech's a very good team out of the Big 12, right there behind Kansas, and I foresee it being a close game. I think it would be smart to back the Red Raiders to win the game, but like you said, it's March and Notre Dame is playing great basketball, so I think it's a toss up almost.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing that. The Irish versus the Red Raiders. Could we see another upset? It could happen. Really excited to see how that goes. What I'm also seeing, team out of Virginia, Richmond, Richmond Spiders pulling off the upset against the 5th seed Iowa Hawkeyes, taking them out 67-63 in the first round. Richmond just had a really great game. Good shooting,
Yeah,
advantage of a lot of steal. They had 4 steals, but Jacob Gilliard 4 of 7 from behind the arc, 8 of 15 overall from the field, 24 points. He had 24, 6, and 6 from him, and that pretty much elevated them to get the upset win over Iowa. Really great win for them as a program. I believe it's their first. They had a great run in their conference tournament and just a fantastic play in, I believe, their first tournament in a while, their first tournament appearance in a couple years. But I'm really excited to see how they look. They were shooting well, but they have a tough matchup tomorrow against Providence, who comes off a 9-point win over South Dakota State. Are you? I'm feeling Providence because Providence has shown throughout the year that it's been well, but like we've talked about Richmond, it's March. Can Richmond pull off another upset? I believe the last time a Virginia team went really far was VCU, and we've talked about that in the earlier shows. But do you see Richmond pulling off the upset?
yeah, well said. Great breakdown of those two games. I definitely didn't see Richmond beating Iowa. Iowa coming in hot off the Big Ten title and playing
Right.
such great offense. But you nailed it. That kid Jacob Gilliard is playing so well. Their guard over in Richmond. He had a great game against the Davidson Wildcats to win the A-10, like you said. So that they're obviously a hot team. They got the conference bid, and honestly, they wouldn't have made the tournament without winning their conference. So they're playing with some really really nice urgency, and that continued in the win over the Hawkeyes. And the Providence team is definitely going to be the favorite tomorrow. I love that team. They're a bit underrated just because they've won so many close games this year. A lot of people attribute that to luck for some reason, but I just think they close really well and they play really good team basketball. From their big man Nate Watson to their 6 man Alan Breed, you've got a complete basketball team with a great coach Ed Cooley. So I think the Spiders are going to have the work cut out for them. I'm going to take the Providence Friars to advance to the Sweet 16.
And before we kind of go into more out of some of the other upsets, like we'll talk about UConn's loss to New Mexico State. Some current scoring updates. I do see Arizona beating Wright State by about 12, Duke beating CSU Fullerton by about 19. Illinois right now is losing to Chattanooga. They are at second half, Chattanooga up 40-39. Illinois kind of on the ropes. I would like to see Chattanooga pull off that upset if anything's possible. And they come off of a buzzer beater win for their conference title to earn the spot. What is one team like Chattanooga, like New Mexico State, like Notre Dame? Which team do you see as one of the lower ones to kind of make that run?
Yeah, I can't believe Chattanooga's up like you just said. Illinois did, yeah, just made it close. I think it was maybe a 7 point lead for Chattanooga. The Mocs
Mm-hmm.
But out of those teams, if you're going to mention Dame in that group as an 11 seed, I really like them to keep dancing. As I said, that New Mexico State team had such a great performance by an individual player. I think he dropped like 38 points over UConn, which was fantastic. But as far as the most well-rounded team out of those three, it's definitely the Notre Dame Fighting Irish out of South Bend, Indiana. And for me, I actually think Chattanooga will lose this game. I think it's probably a consensus pick, even though they've been winning. I actually am pretty high on that Illinois team, just because they can shoot it, and they also have the Kofi Coburn guy down low. He's an All-American. So Chattanooga, like you said, what a great run. Jean Baptiste at the buzzer beater to win the SoCon, and yeah, I mean, if they can pull this upset, more power to them. But I think the odds are against them in this case.
Right. And it'll be interesting to see moving forward who we see. We do have, like we said, New Mexico State 12 seed beating UConn by 7. And I still kind of had UConn winning, moving. At least they're usually one of those sleeper teams in the tournament that you kind of think, well, maybe they'll have a chance. No, losing to New Mexico State 70-63. You do see Creighton beating San Diego State 9-8. Miami winning today off of a close miss by USC in what could have been a bank shot for the win, but number 10 Miami pulls it off 68-66. Next stop playing Auburn in the round of 32.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, exactly, man. I was thoroughly impressed with the Creighton. I actually picked them to win. They were down the whole game, and they clawed back, one in overtime, like you said. Um, those results, none of them very much surprised me, even though USC was the higher seed. I followed that Southern Cal team all year. They're a winning team, but at the same time, they were never very convincing, and they did lose to a lot of teams that were better than them. So I knew Miami was going to be in that game, and the ACC has really shown out in the tournament thus far, with the exception of the Virginia Tech Hokies who crashed out today. But those 7-10, those 8-9, those are real toss ups in my opinion.
right. It's too close to call for it being that close of whether you sit in the rankings in the tournament. I do like seeing North Carolina made a big statement in their game against Marquette, winning 95-63. And I didn't think North Carolina would come out swinging, but they came out hard. They came out swinging like Tyson. I like this matchup with them versus Baylor, and
Yeah,
they play 12-10 tomorrow, so they have the early game. I would like to see a UNC upset, but knowing Baylor and they had a big win against Norfolk State, Baylor is not gonna go out easy. They're trying to win back to back.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely, man. I love the UNC team, and they're playing really well. I just don't think they have what it takes to beat Baylor in tomorrow's game. I was just like you, surprised they came out so well against that Marquette team who had been struggling, but you would have expected a better game, not a 30-point beating. And it's an interesting matchup against Baylor, because UNC does have the talent to stack up with them. It's just Baylor has obviously been the more consistent team all year, been top 10 the whole year. And Carolina's has played at a top 10 level at times, but then again, they lost to Pittsburgh at home. You know, they've struggled in a weaker ACC this year, but you know, things could be changing. Like I said, the ACCs look pretty darn good thus far.
Right. And I don't know how your bracket's doing. My brackets are pretty much above. I made 4 brackets, so I'm not the kind of people who made like 20. I made 4. I have one left sitting at 80%. Um, but it's gonna kind of get nitpicky because I had Alabama and Vermont heading to the Sweet 16, which was a bust. I had Virginia Tech making it to wow, I had them going pretty far. I had Virginia Tech going to the Elite Eight, which I don't know.
Wow.
I was thinking an upset. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, big
I had
question mark.
Kentucky at actually losing to Virginia Tech, so that didn't help the odds. The only perfect side I still have right now is the South because I had Michigan winning, Tennessee winning, Ohio State winning, and Villanova winning. That's the only perfect side I have left.
That feels good.
But what I'm seeing right now as far as scores, Chattanooga up 46-43, so it's still close. You have Duke and CSU Fullerton, Duke up by, 18, not even close. And then the other one, I believe it was Arizona and Wright State. It's only an 8-point game.
Yeah.
So they're keeping it close. Um, all the number ones are still there. So no UVA curse this year yet, but I say yet because I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. But number it's just some of the I think 75% of the number twos are still in. Again, knock on wood, unless CSU Fullerton makes this comeback. Kentucky being the odd man out. I do like where Villanova sits, and here's why. They play Ohio State, but I still convinced that that'll be an easy win. Villanova always comes out swinging in the tournament. I could see an upset where Michigan pulls off against Tennessee. Now, Michigan was kind of the question a lot of times throughout the year. They weren't strong, but they were still up there in their conference. And Juwan Howard, kind of his coaching habits was, questionable at most, but he did his job and beat Colorado State. Now it's the tough test against Tennessee. What I'm really excited to see and what I would hope could happen, the matchup between Richmond and Providence. That's the matchup I'm waiting to see. Can Richmond keep the momentum going against a Providence team that's stayed in the top 25 all year?
Yeah.
What are you? And I know you're excited about the Fighting Irish. They play the Red Raiders on Sunday. No time yet determined. But has your Final Four changed after the first round? Has your Final Four changed?
Yeah, like you were saying about your brackets, I only made one actually, and it has crashed and burned, mainly due to Kentucky. I had them in the finals, so
Okay.
that's not ideal. But I have Zona as my winner, the Arizona Wildcats, and yeah, they don't look great right now, but that's understandable. It is March, and some teams, take a little time to figure it out. Arizona is fortunate; they've had a great season, so they are the 1 seed playing the Wright State Raiders. They should be able to find a way to finish that game out. And like you said, also, I'm very high on Villanova. They have a very experienced point guard in Colin Gillespie, really tough kid. He can take you off the bounce. He can back in and down in the post. And then they've got shooters that they surround him with and a pretty good big and Eric Dixon and Jermaine Samuels. So that team, I think, is set up for success. And then we haven't touched on it, but you got to look at the Gonzaga team as always out of the West Coast Conference. Um, they're going to be a tough out. They are playing Memphis, who's about as hot as anyone in the country right now. I think that'll be a close game. I do think Gonzaga will close that one out late, just due to the fact that they're such a winning team and they've been there before. And then lastly, yeah, the Providence team. I like you touched on. They're another team I picked to go. I think into the second weekend just because they found ways to win all year and they have such a deep team. Some veteran players and Al Durham, guy doesn't miss free throws. And lastly, I wanted to touch on the game tonight, which is my game of the evening. The Davidson Wildcats taking on Sparty, Michigan State. 7-10 matchup. Michigan State being the 7 seed. Davidson having a fantastic year. A10 finalists, dominated the conference though really, and Foster Loyer, the Davidson point guard, playing against his former team. I think that's a storyline that people should know. He transferred out of Michigan State. Really probably could have helped him this year if he stuck around. They lack kind of that calming presence and a great pure shooter like Foster is. And I expect him to come out with a fire tonight. And I've got Davidson upsetting the Michigan State team. So
That'll be interesting to see if the Wildcats can pull off that win against the Spartans. And like you were talking about your kind of Final Four, my Final Four still is intact, barely hanging on, because I do need to see. I have Duke versus UCLA and Arizona versus Auburn. It'll be close. The one I'm worried about is probably both the Bruins and the Tigers, just because UCLA was, coming in as where are they?
yeah,
Where are they on this bracket?
UCLA just squeaked by the Akron
Yeah,
Zips.
they're the 4th seed. They barely won against Akron. They have a tough matchup against St. Mary's tomorrow, and that's going to be the test. The test is going to be, can they beat St. Mary's, and if they do they have the strength to play against the winner of the Tar Heels and Baylor?
Yeah, that Gales team is good too. Wow, they smoked Indiana.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup moving forward. But we're going to take a quick break, guys. When we come back, we'll talk about more. We'll talk about the NBA side heading into, the final weeks of the season. But before we get to that, we have our one-on-one Hooper profile with Boston College men's basketball star Jame Karnik. So stay tuned. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back to the Hoop Jack podcast series, guys. And today, for our one-on-one Hooper profile, we have a very special guest from Boston College University, Jame Karnik. Jame, it's great to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So I looked at how the season went. It was less than 500, 13-20, but you guys had some really impressive wins this year in a tough, ACC. I know, you have teams like Duke, Virginia, Georgia Tech, all of them. How was the season so far? I know with COVID and everything like that, were you still able to get fans later on? Because we did have one of the girls on the women, one of the members of the women's team come on.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was tough for not a whole lot of fan interaction until later in the season.
Yeah.
How was it for y'all?
So, I transferred from Lehigh 2 years ago, actually during the COVID year. So I'm not that good at a base to say what it was before, but it was definitely tough a couple of games, but we definitely had some good showing out and some good crowds. The season itself, I like you said, we had some good wins there, but I also don't really feel our season kind of reflected how good we were.
Right.
There's just so many different factors into that. I could go on and on and on about that. But I think we definitely had a really tough squad, and we showed what we were kind of capable about at the end of our season. Winning against Wake Forest in the ACC tournament in overtime, and miraculously losing to Miami in overtime. Don't know how that one happened. We had the ball with 5 seconds left, tie game. Somehow we missed and they got a full court layup. That was crazy. But yeah.
So you actually have a long road that you've come on.
Yeah.
You grew up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up north, so kind of different culture coming from Canada to the US, even though it's kind of right there.
Yeah.
Was basketball something you picked up early on, or was it kind of a later on? I want to commit later. I want to try other things first.
Yeah. Well, I definitely I played a lot of sports. I always had a lot of fun playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You're 100% right, especially in my area. I think there's like only three. No, there's two. Me and another guy from Division One that actually like play minutes in my area. Like there's I think like two other guys that play Division One, but like one of them is transferred because he wasn't really playing. The other one I think he's just like not playing that much. So there's only like so basketball's not too big, and that's like out of like pretty much the whole like province.
Right.
Like I would come from high school games like dropping 50 because there's no competition.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was definitely kind of tough. Going the prep school route kind of helped me with that. Shoot, what was the rest of that kind of question? It was like just like coming from Canada, the culture.
Like coming from Canada, was it different as far as because I know up north, you have basketball as a form. You have basketball as well as the Raptors. But was
my path to basketball. Yeah, I remember the second part of the question. My bad about that. Yeah. So my path to basketball. I played a lot of things. My dad actually went to the Olympics for judo. So growing up, I did a lot of judo. Try to get into soccer. My mom wouldn't let me get into soccer too early of practices for that. And I did obviously some like YMCA leagues when I was like younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I think around like 13 is when I kind of really saw myself being better at basketball. And then I made the big jump to fully commit to basketball when I was 15, going to prep school in San Diego. And that was kind of like a big jump because I was like leaving home, coming to the U.S., playing on Balboa Prep with DeAndre Ayton, and playing a lot of big showcase games against like league talent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was definitely a really eye-opening experience. And from then, like basketball like just became different. It wasn't just like something you do for fun anymore. It's like okay, you can do something with this. So.
And you wanted to kind of pursue it more in a sense, and like you said, you went to Orangeville Prep, private school,
yeah.
And it was in California, correct? So
San Diego Prep is in California. Balboa Prep is not San Diego Prep. Balboa Prep is in San Diego, and then I did a year in Orangeville Prep, which is in Toronto, and then I also helped start up a prep school with one of my national team coaches,
mm-hmm.
In my hometown of British Columbia, is the province near Vancouver, and I kind of started off that, and from that I got the into Athlete Institute, Orangeville Prep. So
been everywhere pretty much.
Yeah,
high school and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you were talking about I did see that you were part of the U17 Canada national team.
Yeah.
So how was that experience being able to play for the national team and to travel all over the world? I think you played in Europe a lot for that, team. So how was that?
Yeah, so no, the national team actually so how I played for the national team, it was actually so I never actually did any of the World Cups or anything. I did something where they call the provincials. So it's where you play within your nation. You play like see which is the best province. So
right.
I pretty much imagine if like all 50 or whatever, all the states played, and they just try to see which was the best state, and then you only allowed to play. So I kind of did something like that, and then from that you get recognized at the national level. But because I was going in and out of prep school, I wasn't actually able to represent Canada. I got an invitation to represent there, and I also got an invitation to try out for the Olympics later on in my career. But there's always been kind of things getting in the way from that. Like this last year was COVID, or 2 years ago was COVID. I was going to try out for I got an invitation to try out for the Olympic team. But yeah, just there's always kind of things just get in the way. But my time will come. My time will come. So
right, you have plenty of time to get that next invitation and be ready to play for the Canada team.
Yeah,
that would be a real honor.
Yeah, for sure.
And because you and that experience alone, like you playing at different high schools, being recruited itself, you started your college career at Lehigh.
Yeah,
it's not it's a big name, big school, Division I school, not highly recognized, but still comes with a lot of talent and great, great teams, great coaching staff. What was it like for you playing for head coach Dr. Brett Reed? Is am I
I
saying?
love that you say the doctor in there. That's awesome.
Because it's interesting how when I did look it up, it has doctor, and I'm not going to disrespect anybody because they
Yeah.
work hard for that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no, that's awesome.
What was that like?
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I love the staff. They're great people. Ultimately, my decision to transfer was just based off of resources that they didn't really have access to, and the school wouldn't really give them access to.
Right.
They definitely had the budget. This was a more frustrating thing. They definitely had the budget, but it just wasn't the school's priorities. So like
Right.
health and sports program wasn't really there. Like we pretty much had to, our ice baths were pretty much just done in large trash cans. Like normally, picture your typical trash can, and it's just a big one of those, like just a big old like tube. You just stand up and you put ice and water in there. You just stand up in there. You couldn't even fit in, like you could barely fit in there. So there's stuff like that. Tutoring services weren't really that good. Like they had no tutoring services for athletes. They only had like general tutoring services, which would conflict with our practice time. So like when you were on the road for 5 days and you missed 3 classes, it was on you pretty much to catch up. Like you could try going to office hours, but like the teacher would be like, wait, weren't you reading the book? And it's just like, well, I just came back from a road trip and I'm not really reading a book that much on my road trip. Like, I'm either trying to focus on getting my assignments in and stuff like that, or I'm working on practices and stuff like that. So,
right.
So yeah, you almost get kind of exposed, but yeah, they didn't really have tutoring services there, but I feel like the staff and all that stuff definitely made up for a lot of that. They took really good care of you. They really care about the athlete. Fun school too, but just, yeah, there's just some things that, I needed and they couldn't really offer me. So, yeah.
Right. So that was kind of the main things that made you say, I'm going to transfer. I've appreciated Lehigh for everything they've done, but I'm going to transfer to Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, I see where you're coming from as a student athlete. It's hard to it's really, especially the higher division you go, the more stress it becomes and time management is hard. I get it 100%. I played not basketball. I was D2 tennis. So I understand, it's hard to keep that time management with practice, with matches, with everything else, your class schedule. So I completely understand.
Yeah.
And like you had talked about earlier, like you had transferred during the COVID year. And I know, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
So how was, because when everything stopped, it was a big deal to seniors who thought everything was over.
Yeah.
Student athletes not knowing what to do, in students themselves not knowing what to do, and everything kind of going virtual. And then you primarily from Canada, how were you able to ever kind of get back home during that time?
So as you probably know, and as everyone knows, because we had to live through this, everything started getting shut down like mid to late March, like exactly like 2 years ago, right? So we just finished our season, and I was upset with the way the season ended. So I was actually planning on staying home for spring break. Sorry, not staying home, staying at school for spring break. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to get right back to work. I had some ideas that I was already going to transfer at that point. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's just get ready for next season. You're going to be a different school, and it's just going to be a different opportunity for you. So I was actually staying back that spring break. And then my spring break was 2 days to be about to be finished, right? Or actually maybe a little bit longer, like 4 days before spring break was over. And then we got an email saying everyone needs to go home school's going to be online for the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then you start watching the stock market, and the stock market started to really hurt and all these things. And I'm like, yeah, it might be a good idea for me to go home.
You knew something was up.
You're just like, this isn't going to be the best situation.
Right.
And so luckily, yeah, I don't know what would have happened if I would have went home, especially with all the craziness, like just everything going down. So, my brother actually is living in Europe. He lives in Czech Republic, and my parents were like, "Yeah, you got to come home for this too," because like there's just so many unknowns then. And then I thought it would be a great time to transfer during all those unknowns. So yeah, it was definitely added a little bit of stress to that, but yeah, it was definitely a smart decision.
So during 2000, so it was 2020, everything kind of came to a standstill. You had already immediately transferred. 2021, I believe, it was still pretty much virtual.
Yeah.
The entire time. So you were pretty much taking virtual classes as a senior at Boston College.
Yeah, correct.
So you're technically a fifth-year senior, technically, since you got another year.
So I'm a fifth-year graduate. I graduated this last fall because when I transferring your junior year, you lose a lot of credits. Note to athletes, if you're planning on transferring, you want to transfer by your sophomore year, because if you transfer your junior year, you're going to lose a lot of credits. So you're going to have to do like 2 more years of school.
Right.
So yeah, I lost a lot of credits, and so I ended up graduating this fall, so 2 years or a year and a half. And then I started my graduate classes this last semester, or this current semester.
Okay, so you're working on your a master's, like degree.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's good to hear that you still are working on your plan and everything as far as what you want to do with your degrees. Also, the benefit of, while still being in school, you are taking the benefit of the NIL, your brands and everything like that. I did see you have your own brand with Boosted Biz company. I like the logo. It's kind of like a wolf in the background, and then
that.
with the back with you, your last name, kind of the 3 slashes from the claws. So what was the kind of idea behind that logo?
Well, I kind of got like a lot of different ideas that I want to work with. Obviously, you might have heard like Captain Canada.
Yeah,
that's something that I'm kind of working on with too. I always get kind of related to Captain America, and being Canadian, it makes sense being Captain Canada. People say I look like him. I was the captain of the Boston College team. I was the captain of the Lehigh team. So kind of just it's fitting.
Right.
But then also my dad, and like kind of tying into like when I was younger, I was always called like being a beast, like you're just a beast. And so my dad really liked this term, like, release the beast. And I kind of wanted to make it more applicable to everybody. So I wanted to release your beast. Everyone has their inner beast inside, right? You just got to be able to release it and just let the animal take over, right?
Right.
So that's where I kind of got the release your beast, and kind of felt like the wolf kind of fit in with that. But yeah, no, I definitely like that. I'm excited for the future projects. I have so many projects coming up with that. Currently, because of NIL, and also just something I really wanted to do, all the proceeds are actually going to charity.
Okay.
One, just because I'm an international student, I can't accept it. And 2, I think, I'm not going to be making tons and tons of money off of this. So I think it's just a nice kind of idea just to get all the proceeds to kind of go to just charity. And, it's not my primary source of income, if anything. So it's just a little side thing. So I think it's just something good to do.
And have you thought about what other kind of endorsements you wanted to be a part of eventually?
Man, I have so many stuff, but it's just making them realistic and how to make them realistic. I almost want to. I'm talking with a lot of these agents, like for sports, right? But I almost want to start reaching out to like talent agencies to just see if there's any because athletic agents, sport, they're just going to work on the contracts mostly, right? They're not going to really work on getting you endorsements and stuff like that, until like later on in your career, once you kind of have more established stuff. But I definitely think, especially kind of with my brand and with my kind of look, I definitely think there's some room for like endorsements, like outside of just like basketball. Like my friend worked for Lululemon, and he did like a little photo shoot with me, just like wasn't even paid, just for like the fun of it, just because he kind of developed him. He was a photographer, so it kind of allowed him to build up a portfolio, right? And
Right.
they really liked the photo, so I was thinking like, oh, there's maybe something I could do that, with like a clothing company or something like that, because I'm a tall, athletic frame. It could be a good way for a company to show, hey, this guy's 6'9", look how our clothing fits him, right? So
Right.
for like taller people and taller, or this is athletic clothing, like this is a basketball player, look at how this clothing kind of looks and look at the feel, especially when he's like doing sports and stuff. So I definitely feel like there's kind of an opportunity for that. But man, there's just so much going on. It's hard to kind of see what to kind of chase, and if what's realistic and what's not, or if I'm kind of stretching it, or you know what I mean? So it's tough.
Right. And like you said, there's endless possibilities for you as far as not just sports or agents, but even talent agents and everything like that. Maybe
Yeah.
agents, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And and we had talked about before, you had just gotten on the phone with an agent as well.
Yeah.
Is the next step trying to continue the basketball career?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Currently, I don't really have like, I can't tell you like what I'm planning on in 10 years or 5 years or
Uh-huh.
even 3 years, but I can tell you what my next couple of months I want. Kind of the plan for that is planning hopefully to make a summer league team and get a couple NBA workouts, and then from that kind of gauge the interest of not even American market, but European market, Asian market, see kind of like what type of contracts they're giving out and what potential growth there is, right? Because I had one agent talking to me about, oh, great money in Japan right now. We can send you here and you can make this much, blah, blah, blah. But where's the growth from it, right? Because if you're in the European market, you might take a little bit less money, but there's room for growth. There's this league that you can go from there. Then there's this league that you can go from there. And then, maybe from there, you can try a shot at the NBA, because this is how well respected this league is. A lot of guys go to the NBA from this league, and they love, like, recruiting out of this league and stuff like that. So it's definitely just kind of building a future for myself from that. So just having to look at all the possibilities, and a lot of work. And then I don't know how I'm going to make my final decision on signing with an agent. Planning on doing so by the end of the month, early April. So wish me luck.
Most of luck, man. My last question to you is, what advice would you give for the next generation of high school basketball players, young talent wanting to play at the college level?
Love it. I got this question actually recently. I went on a buddy of mine's podcast from home. He asked me the exact same question, and I feel like I have a great answer for this. So if you're younger, let's say from like whatever, toddler to like 14, 13, I think you should play, even maybe 15. I think you should play as many sports that you want and sports that you're interested in. Even if you know, like deep down, that basketball is for you and this is what you want to pursue, there's so many benefits for playing other sports. Like for myself, I played volleyball. And after my volleyball season, I was dunking like crazy. Maybe a little bit of puberty was hitting at the same time, but just because it's so much jumping and like you get to really work on your form in volleyball. Like think about it, in basketball, you have a basketball in your hand. You're never really focused, okay, I'm going to jump as hard as you can. It's more, okay, I'm going to jump with this ball and really try to dunk it. With volleyball, it's just constant reps of you seeing how high you can jump. You know what I mean? So
whether it's blocking, setting, hitting,
yeah.
that.
So there's stuff like that, but then there's like so many better. I think like playing soccer. That's what I'm saying. I'm always give my mom a little crap because I think that's so good for footwork and foot-eye coordination. There's going to be times where you need to be quick on your toes in basketball, so that's definitely beneficial. Something like swimming. I love doing swimming. I still want to kind of get back into swimming. Great cardio work, get your body in shape, but very low impact. if you have kids that might have a little bit of knee problems, like 14, 13, because you're growing so much and you're jumping up and down constantly, your knees hurting, that's going to happen. But with swimming, it's able to kind of keep your body in shape without bringing you crazy pain like that, right? But then also, I think this is really crucial for these younger ages, because it helps you realize how much fun you have in basketball. I played football for a year. I had so much fun. And, I almost kind of wanted to start going into football. But then when I got into basketball more, it just made me enjoy basketball more too. Having fun with football, some crazy way made me enjoy basketball more. I don't know why. So that's what my recommendation would be for that age. Now, when you get to like kind of 15, 14 to like, 16, 17, 18, if you do a post-grad year, it's tough. So I think 15, 16, you should limit yourself to 2 sports. I think it still could be some benefit to doing another sport when you're 15. Just, make sure that you're still really liking basketball. It kind of keeps you active. But it's going to be tough because there's going to be a lot of pressures, AAU and stuff, that's going to want you to just go solely basketball, which is fine. And if that's the decision you make at that age, that's completely fine. You have people make the reasoning for prep school. They always think prep school is the way to go. I went down prep school. Prep school is it's a really big make it, break it moment. When I was 15, went to prep school, I was a hair, like so close to actually just giving up basketball in general. Being away from home, how I was treated there, how my host family treated there, my living situation, how much I got fed. There was just so much things going wrong there. And I thought this is what it took to make it in basketball, because I was a naive 15-year-old. I didn't know that I should question the situation I'm in. It made me think basketball is not for me. And I've had so many people that even when they were 17, 18, they go out to prep school, and you have some kids that are just dickheads there. Sorry for my language, but they just will you're put in with a bunch of kids, and some of these kids may not be raised right, and they just they'll pick on the weaker kids, and it's a pretty toxic environment. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of prep schools, it can be a very toxic environment. So
no, I understand that.
You can definitely really be taken advantage of on the court and off the court. So like you have to be really mentally strong and really committed to that. And then you're gonna miss out on your friends. You're gonna miss out birthdays. There's gonna be a lot of things. So it's I think the reason why I was able to get far in basketball wasn't because I was super talented, maybe a little genetically, but it's just I was very competitive, and I made a lot of sacrifices, and I was willing to make the sacrifices. There's a lot of kids that aren't willing to make the sacrifices, and that's what kind of hurts them. So when it comes to prep school, I understand the benefits of going at a young age, but you have to be really mentally strong to do it at a younger age, like 15, 16. You have to be really ready for that. And then also, just if you're in that situation, it's a toxic situation, I think, you got to be able to fight through it, but then also know that not every situation is like that. So, and then also another difficult thing is when you're going that young, it's going to be tough for playing time. So you might be going there, and the next thing you know, you're doing well in high school, you go to a prep school, next thing you know, you're riding the bench, you're not really having fun with basketball anymore. You're getting picked on by other kids. So it's tough, man. I think the best situation for prep school is maybe your senior year, or with a post-grad year. You go to a program where they're like, we want you to start you. We want you to be our person. And, you're going to be one of the older guys there. So most likely you're not going to be getting picked on or anything like that. And you just ball out and have a good time and get some offers. I think that's the ideal situation. But then there's going to still be separation and sacrifices you have to make with that. So it's not going to be easy time by no means. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And if I were to say one general statement for anyone who wants to be successful with basketball, is just you have to be really willing to make sacrifices. People see so many positives from being Division I, being prep school they just see the good stuff. But there's so, like, even this season, there's so many times this season where, and I feel like I had a pretty good season where I was just broken down. And I was just like, wow, like, am I going to be able to make a professional job out of this? Like, how? And I had to keep on working with my mindset. And, like, whether it was meditation or whatever, I just had to keep on working on stuff to get my mental health right. So it's definitely, it's not all just sweet dreams over here. There's definitely, it's a lot of sacrifices. So if you're not able to make the sacrifices early on, it's going to definitely be tough down the road. Even if you do get an offer, there's going to be more sacrifices you're going to have to make. So that's the one thing I would give to anyone that's younger. And I'm sorry if that's a little harsh, but it's the reality of it. And I think
I totally understand, because I've seen it before. I've seen, like, like, it does, you give up a lot to want to chase that dream. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that even if no matter what route you go, JUCO to D3, D2, D1, you've made it in that sense. And people were like, well, it's D1 or nothing. No, I mean, I've seen people start at the bottom and go all the way up.
Yeah.
They started D3 or even NAIA or JUCO and work their way up to Division One.
Perfect example.
Hard.
If you need someone else to interview Jane Zachary from my team. He started out JUCO. He was averaging like 35 minutes this game. Great point guard. Obviously some circumstances with us not really having guards played a factor with that, but amazingly talented guard. Great find by our coach. Came out of a JUCO. You know what I mean? Like, and now he's starting in an ACC school playing 35 minutes. So if you're willing to make the sacrifices and you're willing to be competitive and you're willing to work, it really doesn't matter what level you're at. Like, I played low Division One. I was able to work my way to higher Division One. You just got to be willing to make the sacrifice, and that's where I really think it is, because whose spot you're going to be taking. You're going to be taking the spot of the people who weren't willing to make the sacrifices. When you're in JUCO, working your butt off, trying to get better and stuff like that, and you're making those sacrifices, not going out. You're going in the gym. You learn how to work out properly in the gym, so you're able to get better. That's another point for younger people, is learn how to work out. I know it sounds like a really weird thing, but there's a right way to work out and there's a wrong way to work out. You have to actually be able to be strict and find a proper way to work out. That's something I didn't know until like my sophomore year of college. But if you're in JUCO, you're making sacrifices, you're away from home. Watch, there's going to be some guy who made it to Division One program, but it's going to be his first year coming away from home. He's not sure if he's going to be able to do it from home. And he's just like, you know what, coach, I don't think basketball's for me. I'm sorry. I know I got the scholarship, but my mental health's not right. I got to go home. And the next thing you know, there's spots opening up because of that. Right. So
right.
It's really is a really mental thing. I've seen so many people just having to find their way and how to be happy when playing these sports. So, if you're able to just maintain a mentally well mindset and keep on making sacrifices and stuff like that, I think that's definitely, that's it.
I want to say thank you, James, for taking the time to come on the show. I loved hearing your story. I wish you the best of luck, whether it's your basketball career or tapping into Captain Canada.
I appreciate that.
Possible.
Yeah, I love it.
Loved your story, man. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. I can't wait to see what happens.
I appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the podcast. Thank you so much for having me. And wish you the best.
No problem, man. And we'll be right back with more Hoop Chat, guys. So stay tuned. And we're back, guys. So I want to thank James for taking the time to come on the show. I look forward to seeing how he does with his process on playing professionally, whether he wants to do stay in basketball or whatever talent agency is out there. You guys can go check out James, or he goes by Miss Captain Canada. So check him out whenever you get the chance. Moving along towards the NBA, we're getting close to the end of the season. I believe we have about 4 weeks left to the end of the year, maybe 3. Trying to do the math. But we reached the 70. We reached the 70 game mark for some teams. Nothing's really different. I do see Milwaukee moving up. I do see Philly dropping. Milwaukee's moving up at a good pace right now, close to the end of the season. Last 10, they're 8-2. They're moving strong. Even Boston's making a good run. Their last 10, they're 8-2. And Brooklyn. So here's the thing with Brooklyn. With Kyrie back and Kevin Durant together, they're winning. But still the rules affect in New York and Toronto have Kyrie in a limited spot. So here's my thing. If Do you think the rules will be lifted by the time the playoffs hit, or is Brooklyn going to have a situation where them being away helps more? Like, if unless they're having to play in a state where Kyrie can't play, is it beneficial for the Brooklyn Nets to stay at a position where they're away more? They're the lower seed and they're the higher seed.
Yeah, absolutely. The Nets look scary right now. Kyrie, good Lord, he put on a performance the other night, and I do believe that things will change, and I think he'll be good to go. I think regulations will be lifted. He he's just such a talented player, and he reminded us all of that the other night when he went for I believe 60 piece, and not too bad to have Candy Stroke Durant on the other side complimenting him. Um, they're really clicking right now, which is good to see because I kind of predicted them to go far this year in previous shows. But yeah, I think things will work out for the Nets. I don't think they need to play for the lower seed. I just think they need to finish the season with this strong momentum and then go take care of business in the postseason.
Right. I understand. And they're sitting at Brooklyn's right now is sitting at the 8th spot, so they'll have to play the play-in tournament. It depends on who they play. I don't know if they're gonna either play it's like an 8-9 situation where they're playing the Hornets, or it's a 7-8 where they're gonna have to play Toronto. And it would be an away game at Toronto where Kyrie couldn't play regardless. So that hurts them more than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
And the kind of situation moves in. And then are you still convinced that Milwaukee is showing that they've done well recently? They're moving up. Are you convinced Milwaukee could come out of the East, or are you more convinced that someone else from the field will? Because I like Milwaukee because they're fine. They're clicking on all ends right now. They're doing well. Like I said, their last 10, they're 8-2. They've been hitting everything. Or do you see another team moving in?
I I want to echo what you're saying about the Bucks. They're the hot hand right now in the East, and they're the defending champs. So I automatically default to giving them the benefit of the doubt to repeat another finals appearance. Um, it is going to be interesting, like you said, to see how the Nets keep up, especially with kind of their newfound success of late. They're really clicking, but the Bucks, they have the MVP and Giannis, the former MVP, and a great supporting cast. Holiday's a guy you want with the ball in his hands because he just makes plays. And then they got some shooters. They got my guy Pat Connaughton, who's coming back too and finding his groove. So yeah, give me the Bucks. Give me the Bucks to at least make the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm going to stick with the Nets as my pick to maybe surprise and make the NBA Finals this year.
I like that. I like those odds.
Yeah, I would take them too. I don't know what they're at right now, but I've been off the lines recently. But yeah, I think that's probably a value bet if you can get them at a decent juice.
And then heading over towards the West, Phoenix having already clinched a playoff spot, it doesn't really matter. They're kind of coasting until Chris Paul can make that comeback once playoff time starts. Another team that's starting to kind of wave and kind of struggle is Golden State. And with Steph now out, I believe a couple weeks, or at least until playoffs hit, you know, I'm not cause for concern yet for the Warriors. I'm looking at it as they still need, if they want to be safe, they got to make sure that he is, because Marcus Smart, I mean, you can't help because he dove, but at the same time, how cautious will you be when he comes back? Because they were cautious with Clay when he came back. How cautious do you be with Steph when he makes his return?
Yeah, you got to kind of to play that one, like you said, by ear, especially with the. It's good that Curry, he's going to know his body best, even more so than the trainers and the physios, and they're going to give him certain times, amount of times he should be playing or practicing and should be resting. But I always say default to the player because I know they're going to want to play, and that could be a little risky. But at the same time, it's like this is this is your season. This is a chance for a title. I think you gotta let him loose a little bit, especially since we're at the end of the year, and they really need him. As you said, the results have dipped. Clay's still finding his rhythm. Clay Day, and I just think Curry's the cog that makes that engine go, as they say.
Right. And I get what you mean. And then kind of moving away from the NBA. So while we close out on our little mindful moment, I would just like to talk about our brands that we've been working with. We've been working with Boosted Biz, great clothing company. Our brand's out now. Guys can check out it on our link tree. Head over, check out some of our swag. It's really good. And also, we have started working as an affiliate with Kenichi Bear, and they make great clothing lines as well as an amazing headphone called the Hibernation 5. It's great for listening to music, and it's also great for gaming for as a wireless headset. So make sure to check it out now. Best price out there. You can't ask for anything better. Kenichi Bear and Boosted Biz is the main ones we're working with. So check them out. Help support the channel. And for my mindful moment, kind of heading into the weekend, and I pretty much work every day this weekend. I work Saturday and Sunday. I ref a lot, but it's just nice to, especially, and I say this while gas prices are high, but just take like a drive or even go for a walk or something just to clear your head. And, with the weather now getting nicer in certain areas of the country, especially ours, it's good to just be outside, go for a walk, smell that fresh air without your mask on.
Yeah, yeah, well said, Tom. I couldn't agree more with that. People get content and they just stay inside. You're missing out on what God gave us, the nature, and that's where you find peace. Like you said, that inner peace is what everyone's seeking in their life. That's going to keep you going, keep you moving. But for me, my mindful moment of Friday, the 18th, is going to be holding a standard for yourself. And this kind of ties into what you just said. So make a routine, make a time for you to go out, every night or once every couple of days, and make that time for yourself. So that's a part of your schedule. So you can get what you need out of your whole day. So there's just so many things that go on in a person's day. And if there's not, then you're probably living a life of idolatry, which isn't a good thing at all.
No,
But yeah, exactly. For me, it's like not accepting that if things aren't going how you want them to go, not accepting that, change something up. It's something we learned in sports as competitors, just like on the tennis court. If somebody's beating you and things aren't going well, we got to go to plan B. We got to go to plan C. We can't just go quietly into the night and lay down. So that translates over to life and making things how you want them to be, because we all have opportunities. We all have certain resources, and we have people that care for us, hopefully, and we got to use those resources and achieve what we want. So
Exactly. So thanks again, guys. That's been another episode of the Hoop Jack podcast. Looking forward to hearing what you guys think of the episode. Hope you guys also tune in and make sure you check out James Karnik and his career. He likes to go by Captain Canada. I think it's a swag name. I think it's a great nickname. One of the up and ups. But make sure to go check out all the brands that we work with, all the brands that he works with, and keep tuning in. More March Madness this weekend. Can't wait to talk about it on Monday when we get to the Sweet 16. And remember, don't be a bystander, be a hooper, and keep balling. Peace.